This is worksheet 2 of the Naming Acids packet, and this is where we're going to learn how to name the second type of acid. Okay, worksheet 1 was all about binary acids that only contain hydrogen and one other element. Worksheet 2 is naming polyatomic acids. So as the name applies, these are compounds made of hydrogen, because they're an acid, and a polyatomic ion. So you might have to refresh yourself on that big list of polyatomic ions. Remember, polyatomic ions are things like CO3, which is carbonate, or NO2, which is nitrite, those groups of atoms that stick together and have a charge. So, the big thing that you need to remember, and I wish I could make this in flashing lights, I don't know how to do that, but when you're naming polyatomic acids, unlike binary acids, you do not use the prefix hydro in front. Okay, now some of you guys and I understand where this comes from, you sort of mistakenly think when you learn how to name binary acids in the first worksheet, like, oh, we call them hydroiodic acid or hydrochloric acid because they start with hydrogen. And so since these acids also start with hydrogen, it should start with hydro also. No. As long as the word acid is in the name, it starts with hydrogen. With these acids, we don't put hydro in the name. So hydro is really telling you that you have a binary acid, hydrogen in a single element. If hydro is not there, that's your indicator that you have a polyatomic acid. Okay, so all you're going to do when you name these is you're going to find the name of the polyatomic ion, and you can look back at that list, the chart of polyatomic ions if you need to. And then you're going to change the ending of the polyatomic ion, either to ic or us. So if the polyatomic ion that you look up ends in ate, like for example, carbonate, then you're going to change the ending to ic. So instead of carbonate, it would be carbonic. And if the polyatomic ion that you look up ends in ite, like nitrite, for example, then you would instead change the ending to us. So instead of nitrite, we would call it nitrous. Okay? And then we stick the word acid at the end because it's an acid after all. So a lot of students refer to this rule as the adic-itis rule because, I don't know, it sounds like a disease. Right? You go to the doctor, you're not feeling well, ooh, you have adic-itis. So if that helps you, fine. If you have another method, go for it. Some examples. Here's hydrogen bonded with the chlorate ion. That's what ClO3 is. So we would call this chloric acid. On the other hand, if you got hydrogen bonded with the chlorite ion, ClO2, you have chlorous acid. If you have hydrogen bonded with SO3, the sulfite ion, then you have sulfurous acid. It changes to us. And if hydrogen is bonded to the sulfate ion instead, then you have sulfuric acid because 8 changes to ic. So you probably need to practice that a little bit before you have those little terms committed to memory. Here's an example. Hydrogen and the sulfite ion, SO3. So that ite ending changes to us. It's sulfurous acid. Remember, do not start with hydro. Alright, so you can go ahead and practice those, but I am going to show you how to go in the reverse direction, so you can work on that also. If you are given the name and you want to write the formula, the main thing you need to remember, and this will be hard for a lot of you, is to not use the prefix hydro. That's only on the binary acids that do not have polyatomic ions in them. The easy thing to remember is that because these are acids, the cation is always hydrogen with a +1 charge. So all you have to do is make sure you find the appropriate polyatomic ion. And so you have to remember that adic-itis rule, but sort of in reverse. Right, so if you're looking at the acid and it says, for example, sulfurous acid, if it's got the us ending, then you got to look for the polyatomic ion with the ite ending. So sulfite, SO3, with a -2 charge. And then you swap and drop, so there's 2 hydrogens and just 1 SO3 sulfite. right? And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you to practice, and we will see how you did the next time you get to class.